Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today it's a while for we are playing some more Out of the Park Baseball 22 with the 1994 Montreal Expos with the season that is almost over. Alright, so right off the bat, I am going to apologize if my voice sounds weird and I sound stuffy and whatnot. Allergies are through the roof. Where I lived, it was really windy. So it is what it is. Allergies are kicking my butt. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Now, on the baseball front, we're going to be playing the last two games of that 4-game series against the Marlins today. We won the first two, so we're doing pretty good there. We have no injuries to speak of, so Russ McGinnis completely recovered. And that's pretty much that. Today the Marlins are going to be sending a slowly declining Mike Morgan. So Mike Morgan was a decent pitcher in real life. He had a decent season last season for the Marlins. Now keep in mind the Marlins they're an expansion team, so they're not all that great. But he had an okay season last season. It's a little tougher for him this season, too. He's 9-17, and his stuff is kind of low. So yeah, it's slowly declining. Mike Morgan, we're on the opposite spectrum of aging. We have the very young and rising Jose Rosado on the mound for this game. He's been pretty dynamite, all things considered, for a 19-year-old. So he's going to be on the mound for us for game number 3 of this series. So let's get to it now, shall we? And have some baseball. Alright, so Charles Johnson is tired, so we're going to go ahead and play Jerry Goff against the righty. Alright, so it's going to be one of those games that I bet Grissom third due to lack of power in my lineup. There we go. So we're going to go with that. Now let's take a look at the Marlins. They're going to be going with Sean Berry batting first. Jason Bates playing second base is going to be back batting second. Rondell White, former Expo, batting third. Ulian Yan batting fourth. Brunansky in right field batting fifth. Alvaro Espinoza is going to be batting sixth, playing shortstop. Scott Henry, the catcher, batting seventh, and Jorge Vasquez playing center field is going to be batting 8th in this game. We have some Montreal Expos baseball here today, and play ball and go Expos! Yay! Let's make it 3 wins in a row against the Marlins. Alright, so Sean Berry leading off. Let me check. Okay, there was an update for my streaming software today, and when it updates, sometimes it turns off my volumes. So I forgot to check that, and I thought that maybe I was talking and nobody could hear anything, but it looks like it's working. Alright, 1-0 to Sean Berry to start off game number 3 of the 4-game series here at Olympic Stadium. Grounds it to second. De Shields with the throw, and Sean Berry is thrown out at first for out number 1. Alright, looks like I'm having issues with my camera again. Let me try to fix that real quick. There it looks a little bit better. Alright, now Jason Bates is the next batter with 1 out. 2-2 to him. Grounds it to short. Barbary with the throw, and that's out number 2. That brings up Rondell White. He has a pretty solid 70 contact rating against lefties. That's pretty decent. 0-1. Grounds it to first. Haney takes it to first himself, and that's out number 3. Nothing to talk about for the Marlins in the top of the first. We're going into the bottom of the first. Still no score with Delino the Shields leading us off here against Mike Morgan. 0-1 to him. That's it to center for a base hit. Alright, so the Shields with a single. And just like that, our first batter of the game gets on base. And that brings up Brett Barbery. No count. I think the Shields is going to be going. And he is. And he's out. Alright, so 1 out now. 1-2 to Barbery. Grounds it to third. Barry with the throw, and that's out number 2. Alright, Marquise Grissom is next. Full count. Grounds it to second, and the throw is good, and that's out number 3. So the Expos get a hit, but they only still send 3 batters to plate. Still no score here in the top of the second with Ulian Yan leading off for the Marlins. 2-0 to him. Alright, grounds it to the pitcher, and he's thrown out at first for out number 1. Tom Brunansky is next. 0-1. That's it to left, and it's going to fall in front of Calderon. That's a base hit for the Marlins. So they get a base runner with 1 out here, and that brings up Alvaro Espinoza next. 0-1. Grounds it to short. We get the lead runner at second base, but we cannot get Espinoza out at first. That's a fielder's choice, and there's 2 outs now for Scott Henry. 3-1 to him. Grounds it to second. The Shields with the throw to first, and that's out number 3. The Marlins get the hit, but that's it. Going into the bottom of the second, where Ivan Calderon is going to lead us off here. 0-1 to him. He still has a shot at 40 home runs this season. And that one is flied out right at Rondell White. He barely had to move. That's out number 1. Ruben Rivera is next. 1-2 to him. Grounds it to third. Barry with the throw, and that's out number 2. Shane Andrews is next. 1-1 to him. Grounds it to short. Good throw to first, and that's out number 3. Expos go down in order in inning number 2. We are going into the top of the third. Still no score here with Jorge Vasquez getting things started for the Marlins here in inning number 3. Full count to him. And he walks. Alright, leadoff walk, and as it said in the play-by-play text, the bane of managers everywhere. Alright, Mike Morgan is next, so the pitcher is probably going to be bunting with a runner on first and nobody out. 0-2, he bunts it, and that's a sacrifice hit. Vasquez makes it to second base on the play. There's 1 out now with a runner in scoring position for Sean Barry. No count to him. And he hits it to center for a base hit. Falls in front of Rivera, but it's not going to score the run here. So there's runners on first and third now with 1 out. So a double play would be perfect here with Jason Bates, the batter. 2-2. Grounds it to third, to second for 1. We cannot get the double play. The runner scores from third. It is 1-0 Marlins here in the top of the third. There's 2 outs now with a runner on first for Rondell White. No score, no count, and that's a lazy fly ball to center. That's cut by Rivera. That's the end of the inning. So the Marlins strike first here today. It is 1-0 for the Marlins going into the bottom of the third, where we have Todd Haney getting us started here. 1-1. That's a base hit to center. All right, Todd Haney with a good piece of hitting here. And now the batter is going to be Jerry Goff, the backup catcher. 2-2. Struck out swinging. All right, so Jose Rosado is probably going to be bunting here with 1 out. 1-1 to him. Oh, missed the bunt. And he bunted third strike bunt. So that's a strikeout. 2 outs now. The runner is still at first. We have Delino the Shields as the batter. 1-0 to him. Oh, the runner is going and he's safe. Todd Ainey with his first steal of the season. We don't exactly know him to do that much. Alright, so now we have a runner in scoring position. Maybe that's why the steal was successful. The Marlins didn't see that coming. Alright, full count to the Shields. That's it. And that's a base hit all the way into the corner and right. That should score a run. And it does. It is tied at 1 thanks to the double by Delino the Shields. It is 1-1. So Montreal strikes right back at their next turn at bat. So we have a tied game, 2 outs, runner in scoring position for Brett Barbary. No count to him. And that's it. A lazy fly ball to right. Should be cut by Brunansky, and it is for out number 3. The Expos, however, managed to tie the game. It is now 1-1 going into the top of the 4th. Alright, Ulyanyan is the first one to face Jose Rosado here. Oops. 1-0. It's a to left. That's a fly ball to Calderon, and he catches it easily for out number 1. Tom Brunansky is next. 1-0 to him. That's it. Weakly to center. Rivera under it. Catches it for out number 2. Alvaro Espinoza is next. No count to him. Grounds it to second base. The Shields is there. The throw to first is good. The Marlins are down 1-2-3 in inning number 4. Now it's our turn to go to bat. And we're entering the meat of the lineup here. So let's see if we can do some damage against Mike Morgan. Marquise Grissom is going to be the first one to bat here. 0-2 to him. Grounds it to first. The throw to the pitcher. And that's out number 1. Ivan Calderon is next. No count to him. Grounds it to short. That's an error. So on the play, Calderon makes it to second base. Alright, so Espinoza. I think the error is on Espinoza. So we have a runner in scoring position. 1 out. Ruben Rivera is the batter. No count to him. Calderon goes for third and he's out easily. That's out number 2. Cannot capitalize on that error. We just shot ourselves in the foot. 2-1 to Rivera. That's it to right, and it falls in front of Brunansky. That's a base hit with 2 outs. And now Shane Andrews follows. 2-2 to him. Rivera's going. They are not gonna throw on that, so we have a runner in scoring position. Full count, 2 outs for Shane Andrews. And he struck out swinging. Alright, so yeah, we had 2 base runners here in that inning and we couldn't score. That's not good. Alright, Scott Henry leads off inning number 5 for the Marlins. 1-1 to him. Grounds it to first. Ainey to first base, and that's out number 1. Jorge Vasquez is next. 0-1. Ooh. Got drilled. So Vasquez gets on base for the 2nd time this game. And now Mike Morgan comes to bat with 1 out. He's probably going to be bunting. No count. Any bunts. That's going to be a... Oh, we throw... That's a double play. Hey, long time no see, friend. How are you doing? It has been a minute since I've seen you around these parts. Let me move the cobwebs a little. Yeah, we're managing. We're okay. Still looking for a decent price for a flight for next month. It's in a month and a half, actually. It's coming quick. Alright, Todd Ainey is going to be the first one to bat for us in inning number 5. No count. Oh, that's a base hit. That's going to be extra bases too, all the way to the fence. So Todd Haney gets his second base hit of the game. That's going to be a double. All right, so Jerry Goff is the next batter, runner in scoring position. Nobody out. 1-1. Grounds it to short. Oh, God. I am coming up on the end of the season. There's one series after that, and then we move on to the off season, which the off season is almost my favorite part of doing this, because that's where the GM changes the lineup, and I always am foolishly hopeful that maybe they're gonna make a good move. So, all right, still a runner in scoring position. Goff grounded out to short, and the runner couldn't advance, so 0-2. And Rosado strikes out, so there's 2 outs now, and we have still a runner in scoring position. We're gonna need a base hit from the line with the Shields. 2-0 to him. Grounds it to second. Oh, and he's thrown out at first for out number 3. So we strand a runner in scoring position that we had with nobody out too. So going into the top of the 6th here, still tied at 1. I mean, how many pitches for Rosado? Oh God, he's good. 49 pitches in 5 innings. That's really good. All right, no count to Sean Berry, and he grounds out to second for out number 1. Jason Bates is the next batter. 1-2 to him. Ooh, strike 3. Looking. Lots of adulting, huh? Yeah, we all have to do that. I've been adulting too, believe it or not. Taking care of stuff. Alright, so Rondell White with 2 outs now. No count to him. Grounds it to short. It's going to be close. Oh, and he's out. Good throw by Barbary. That's out number 3. The Marlins go down in order yet again. We are going into the bottom of the 6th. Still deadlocked at 1. Yeah. Oh, I didn't check. Did the Dodgers win yesterday? When I checked, they were down, I think 1-0 in the 7th or something like that. Is it possible? Did I dream that? Did they come back? I didn't check the scores. I kind of went straight into out of the park. Yeah, I got to see that that you're like me. You're not too much of a fan of the wild card game. Alright, Barbary grounds out to second for out number 1. That's going to bring up Marquise Grissom. 0-1 to him. Grounds it to short. And he's thrown out at first for out number 2. I know, right? I mean, no, sorry, I was taking care. There's a lot of bots that, especially lately, there's a lot of bots on Twitch that like subscribe to you, and I have to manually go and ban them. You know, yeah, I'm a one-man show, obviously, because I don't have a whole lot of viewers and everything. Of course, big streamers, I have people, moderators that took care of that and everything, that take care of that for them and everything. So I had to go and ban whoever just followed me. You know, I go and check, and they created their account 5 minutes ago. So I'm like, yeah, that's not legit. So ban them. That's all I can do. All right, so Calderon is next with 2 outs now, 1-1. Grounds it to third. Calderon has a shot at a 40 home run season. He needs 3 more, and after this game there's gonna be 4 games for him to do it. He can do it. It's gonna be tight, but he can do it. He had an MVP caliber season. It's too bad that we're not going to the playoffs. And I agree. I was gonna say that I agree with your assessment of like the wild card game. It's a shame, especially like in baseball. You play so many games. It's such a grind and everything. And then it can be all over with just 1 game. All right. So Tom Bernansky is next with 1 out, 0-1. Pop foul, and that's cut by Goff for out number 2. Alvaro Espinosa is next, 2-2. Oh, struck out looking beautiful pitch by Rosado. That's out number 3. Right, Mike Morgan is next. Ruben Rivera is the next batter. Mike Morgan is still on the mound, sorry. 1-0 to Rivera. Rounds it to third. And he's thrown out for out number 1. Shane Andrews is next. Full count to Shane Andrews. Oh, that's a base hit to left. Yeah, that's something that growing up I really liked about baseball, is that there really wasn't a whole lot of teams making the playoffs. So when you were making the playoffs, it was a big deal. It really was a big deal. And I know that it's gonna sound contrary, but I also don't mind the format in the NHL because it's a completely different sport. Yeah, you have to really grind it out in hockey. So I don't mind that, there's not only 4 teams making the playoffs in hockey, because playoffs hockey is usually pretty cool. But yeah, in baseball, I do like that ideal that only the top teams were making it to the playoffs. And if you were playing all of those games and not finishing first, it was, well, too bad. See you next year. Oh, all right. They got the lead runner at second base on any hit there, but well, it wasn't a base hit. All right, so 2 outs now, runner on first. Jerry Goff is the next batter, 1-0 to him. Grounds it to, oh, might be an error, and it is. Oh, now I have to think. Rosado is pitching really well. So do I want to pull him to bring in? Yeah, it's a prime opportunity here. I need a pinch hitter. Oh, I'll go with Willie Green. Otherwise, I would have kept Rosado in the game. He was really pitching well, but yeah, it is very different, and it starts soon. I'm so excited. Tonight, there's the last preseason game for the Sens. I'm gonna get to watch that, and then we start our regular season next Thursday. 0-1 to Willie Green. Oh, that's a base hit, I think. Oh, yeah, that's a base hit to right. The runner goes. And he's safe. All right. I pulled Rosado. I really want to keep him in the game. He was pitching so well, but that was a good call. We're up 2-1 now. So, yeah, sorry. I saw Quinton Byfield broke his ankle, I think, with the Kings. So I think he might have had that chance to start the season. Oh, there you go. Yes, it is. The Shields 3-1 to him, and he walks. That loads up the bases with 2 outs now for Brett Barbary. Oh, I'm gonna bring in another pinch hitter. Let's try Russ McGinnis. Alright, bases loaded, 2 outs. Russ McGinnis comes in as a pinch hitter, 1-0. Oh, it's a weak grounder to third. And he's thrown out at first. Alright, well, I tried. Alright, so I'm gonna keep Woody Green in. He's gonna play short, and then I'm gonna bring in lefty, righty, and then probably a pinch hitter. I'm gonna bring in there. Right, they're facing the lefty Scott Henry to start inning number 8. The Expos took the lead in the bottom of the 7th. We're up 2-1. No count to him. Grounds it to second. The Shields with the throw to first, and that's out number 1. Jorge Vasquez is next. 1-0 to him. Rounds it to short. The throw by Woody Green, that's out number 2. Mike Bordick comes in as a pinch hitter for the Marlins, 2-1. Grounds it to third. Shane Andrews with the throw, that's out number 3. The Marlins go down in order in inning number 8. Going into the bottom of the 8th, we're still up 1. Brandon Reed comes in as a relief pitcher for the Marlins. Marquise Grissom is the first one to greet him. 0-1. Grounds it to short, and that's out number 1. I'm waiting for news from for Franchise Hockey Manager 8. They haven't said anything yet. They did say that they're planning to release the game a lot earlier this year than they did last year. Because of COVID, they had released it, I think, in December or something. I'm kind of waiting for them to give some info on that. Starting to get excited about the game again. I needed to take a break, but I'm getting excited about it again. Ivan Calderon is the next batter. And I'm such a feeble mind, you know. All it takes is for hockey season to kick around the corner again, and then my excitement for hockey games just raise again, and then at the start of the next baseball season, I'm gonna have like a huge spike in wanting to play baseball again. 0-1 to Calderon. Flies it to center. Come on, man, I want for you to get to 40 home runs. You can't do it. 2 outs, bottom of the 8th. Still Ruben Rivera next, no count. That's it to right, opposite field. Bernansky after it. Catches it for out number 3. Yes, you did. I'll say this, they're usually pretty responsive to fix stuff that we bring up. Maybe they don't fix absolutely everything, but there's definitely an effort to take what people say to try and fix it. I pointed out a couple things on their forums last year, and they integrated it, and that was pretty cool. Like the reverse scouting report thing that like they had added like recommendations for like your weaknesses and everything, but your weaknesses that were shown in that email was like your strengths. Like they had kind of reversed it by accident, and they fixed it. Well, they implemented it in the first place. That was my idea that I had brought up, but anyway. So yeah, I want to see what the work that they've done too. Pretty excited for that. All right, it's Scott Ruskin time here. Save situation, top of the 9th. Ruskin comes in to try to close off the game. Sean Berry is first to face him. 1-0 to him. Grounds it to short, and that's out number 1. Yeah, hopefully. I think I had seen you post that, but I don't remember seeing their answer to it. Maybe I saw it and forgot. It happens. Jason Bates is next with 1 out, full count. Grounds it to short. Woody Green with the throw. That's out number 2. And then Rondell White is next, 1 and 2. And that's it to Calderon in left for out number 3. So the Expos prevail, and that's a 2-1 victory here in Montreal. Ah, okay. So it wasn't a post on the forums. I thought that it was. All right, so Expos win by 1 here against the Marlins. Another tight game against them, but we're on the winning side of that. Of course, our record is not all that great, but we won't get to 100 losses. That's at least that, I guess. Yep, I think I made the right call by pulling Rosado. I really wanted to keep him in the game. He was dominant, but we needed the run more, I think. So, all right, let's advance to next day. All right, so the Yankees clinch their division. All right, so Ken Bonifay was selected for minors play or something. I faced him last time I played against the Pirates. Yeah, that's the second news about that we've seen. Oh, that feels so wrong. In my universe, Tom Glavine is with the Yankees. It just feels wrong. Oh, look at that. Like the Cubs and the Braves are fighting it off for the wild card race. All right, so we are ready to play the last game of that 4-game series. It's going to be a Southpaw duel. The Marlins are going to send Pat Combs on the mound. He's had his share of issues this year. Oh yeah, he's walking more than he's striking out. That's never good. And we're going to go with Gabe White, who's been a real bag of surprise. You never know what you're getting. He had a complete game shutout and a couple other interesting starts, and then last game he wasn't all that great. Yep, I believe they are. I think they clinch. Actually, I think they were the first team to clinch their division. Yeah, 108 wins. Bruce Hurst is hurt. Yeah, you're gonna go into the playoffs fairly healthy too. That's pretty good. Yeah, and my Expos traded Oil Can Boyd. You guys acquired some veteran pitching to help out too. Oil Can Boyd was traded to you guys. For whom again? Let's see. For Shane Bowers and Ken Huckabee. Yeah, that wasn't a great trade for us. That one we didn't quite win. Yeah, it is. And you have John Franco to close out games. That's not too bad. And you have Mike Maddox still. Rick Aguilera. Yeah, you have the pitching for sure to make it. I am not too worried about you guys pitching. Not a whole lot of lefties, though. Everybody's a righty. That's probably a problem. But that's some solid pitching there. And I mean, the batting is not too bad. I mean, Darryl Strawberry hasn't gotten into outside the field problems yet. Yep. So yeah, you're getting yeah, that they have a pretty strong team. And you're probably going to be facing up the Mets at one point, who are also pretty good. Another 100 win team. The Mets are also pretty good, but they have some injuries. Although most of them are just day-to-day. Yeah, they don't have the pitching to the same tune as you do, but Dwight Gooden, I believe, is the best pitcher in my universe. But it's just not the same. However, they have a Jeremy Burnitz with almost 50 home runs. And he's not doing that in Colorado. Yes, he is. So, yeah, Rafael Palmeiro doesn't look like he has that many stats, but he's been hurt a lot this season. He missed quite a few games. Yeah, he only played 115 games. So, might look like he's not bashing as many home runs, but he didn't play that much. Got hurt quite a bit. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and play my next game. But yeah, it's been pretty interesting. And then the Yankees, of course, like I said, they have Tom Glavine. That feels just wrong. Oh, look at that. Mariano Rivera is a starter. Which that's how he started his career, and then he was put in the pen really quickly in his career in real life. But I don't mind seeing things like that. That's why I started it the way I did. That's why I don't use recalc, because I want some different things like that without going over the board. Oh god, they have a lot of injuries. Alright, let's go ahead and play this game against the Marlins. Yeah, Kurt Schilling is also a reliever in my universe. He was a reliever early in his career, so he didn't develop as a starter. I don't mind stuff like that, as long as it's not, too much. Okay, all right. Oh, Calderon is tired. I probably should sit him. Dang, that takes a game out for him to hit 40 home runs. Okay, who do I play in left? Johnny Nutt, maybe? Yeah, Johnny Nutt it is against the lefty. I still get me a little bit of power bat here. Oh god, okay, no. We're gonna bat Johnson third. Here, let's do that. Yep. Like I said, as long as it's not over the board, like in my universe, Brett Barbery developed as a decent player, like not a superstar, but definitely better than he was in real life. And Scott Ruskin became pretty dominant as a as a closer, so I don't mind seeing some stuff like that. I am not doing this to have an exact replay of real life. I want to see some different stuff a little bit. I think I'm gonna go with that. Yeah, let's do it like that. Alright, the Marlins are gonna go with Bubba Trammell playing in right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember Eric Gagne trying to make it as a starter. Of course, the back in the day, that's all they would talk about in Quebec was Eric Gagne and what he was doing and everything. So, I mean, a little guy from Quebec making it all the way to the major leagues and everything, that was always gonna be a big deal. Alright, so Bubba Trammell, Mike Bordick is going to be batting second. He's playing shortstop today. Alright. Ulian Yan is going to be batting third. Joe Oliver batting cleanup. Brooks Kieschnick in center field. Todd Edwards playing in left. Jason Bates at third. And Chris McInnes playing second base. So they're bringing in a lot of subs to play game number 4. We only have one sub. We're gonna have Johnny Nutt batting for, or playing for Ivan Calderon and batting 5th in the lineup. He has a little bit of pop in his bat, not too bad. Wouldn't mind having him to start the season next year as a sub. He can play several positions. Alright, let's get this thing started. Alright, let's see which Gabe White we get today. Oh yeah, that stretch. Doesn't Gagne have the record for most consecutive saves or something like that? Like in that stretch, he was almost unhittable. Alright, 0-2 to Bubba Trammell to get things started here. Top of the first, obviously. Grounds it to first, and that's out number 1. Yeah, he was. That was crazy. But like his burst of dominance, like you said, was shorter than Rivera. Rivera was probably never as dominant as Gagne was during that stretch, but he was dominant longer, I guess, over a longer stretch, just like you said. All right, Mike Bordick is batting second here, 0-2 to him. Hits it to left for a base hit. Yeah. Elf plays a lot for players. Alright, Ulyanyan with a runner on first. 1 out, 0-1 to him. Oh, that one is out of here. Alright, so Ulyanyan, excuse me, with his second home run of this series. It is now 2-0 for the Marlins. Whew. Sorry about that. It's been super windy here yesterday, and it lifted all the dust and pollen and everything, and allergies are kicking our butts. Right, Joe Oliver is next, 2-1 to him. Yeah, Ulyanyan, I don't remember. I do remember Mike Bordick. I do remember Mike Bordick, but I don't remember Ulyanyan at all. And of course, Joe Oliver, I remember. And that's a base hit for him in left. Right, and there's a runner on first, 1 out for Brooks Kieschnick. Of course, Brooks Kieschnick was kind of a two-way player. Brooks Kieschnick was I remember him playing for Milwaukee, I think. He was kind of a reliever, but they were bringing him as a pinch hitter. He might... I don't follow current day baseball that much anymore. I should. I don't. And then Todd Edwards now with 2 outs. Runner on first, 1-2. Struck out swinging. Yeah, I remember Kieschnick coming in as a pinch hitter, even though he was a reliever, and I remember that it was kind of weird. Like back then, I was still young-ish. I had not seen that too often in my life. Now, of course, there's Shohei Ohtani and everything. Oh God. Harry Carey trying to pronounce his name. Isn't he the one who could never pronounce Jose Vizcaino's name correctly too? Or is it a different guy? Alright, Delino the Shields leading things off here in inning number 1. It's pretty sad that a French-Canadian guy can pronounce Jose Vizcaino's name better than he could. Alright, Marquise Grissom So the Shields tried to bunt himself on, and he was out. Now Marquise Grissom is next, 0-2. Grounds it to third. He's thrown out at first for out number 2. That brings up Charles Johnson. Pretty good season for Charles Johnson. He has an outside shot at 100 RBIs. 3-0 to him. Yeah, let's keep it politically correct. Right, Ruben Rivera is next. 2-2. Runner on first. Oh, struck out swinging, and that's the end of the inning. And we're just talking before 10 a.m., right? But hey, we all have names that we struggle with. For me, it's the backup goaltender, like Wade the Wade the Bullwicks or whatever. I have no idea how to say that name. I have no idea how to pronounce that. Usually I have a really good memory, so usually if I can hear commentators say the name on TV and everything, if they say it right, I'm gonna be able to like assimilate that in my brain. I guess I never heard a commentator say Wade the Bill Wicks name properly. Alright, Gabe White facing Jason Bates in the top of the second. Yeah, there's just those names that, you just don't know how to pronounce them. Dustin Bufflin, I think that it should be pronounced. At least that's how most announcers say it. There's that guy playing for Toronto that's going to be a mouthful for announcers. Like he's like a Russian guy. His last name is Dare-S something. Alright, so Marty McInnes is next, 1-2. Struck out swinging. Pat Combs is the next batter with 2 outs, 3-1 to him. And he walks. Oh boy, the bane. That's the true bane of managers. Walking the opposite pitcher, especially with 2 outs. You don't want to extend that inning. Bubba Trammell is next. 2 outs, 0-2. Oh, that's going to be an infield single. Yeah, I'm getting grayer. I was looking at that the other day. I'm like, man, I'm wise all of a sudden. A real owl. Right, Mike Bordick. 2 on, 2 outs. 2-2. Oh, that's going to be an error. Oh, alright, so the Shields tries to throw from his knees, and yeah, that's an error, so that loads up the base. See, we walk the opposite pitcher, and all of a sudden, with 2 outs, and all of a sudden the bases are loaded for Ulyanyan, who already has a home run in this game. 2-1 to him. He popped it, thankfully. That's cut by Ray Sanchez for out number 3. Did you really want to be a field manager, or is it just to punch in your joke that you said that? Like, Johnny Knott is the first one to face Pat Combs here in the bottom of the second. 1-2. We're down 2-0. That's it to right. Fairly easy fly ball, I would think, and that's cut there by Trammell for out number 1. Shane Andrews is next. 1-0 to him. Grounds it to short. You're like me. You didn't make it out of the little leagues. At least that's as far as I made it. I wasn't a bad pitcher, though. But yeah. When you're playing little ball in a 6,000 people town, your chances to make it big are pretty low unless you're ridiculously good. Todd Haney is next. No count. Oh, that's gonna be extra bases down the line in left all the way to the fence. With 2 outs, we get a double from Todd Haney here. Oh. I think you might have I think you might have mentioned the hockey part of that before, but I don't think you mentioned the baseball one. That's interesting. Alright, so Ray Sanchez comes to bat with 2 outs, runner in scoring position, 1-1. Grounds it to short. He's thrown out at first for out number 3. Yeah, I'm at that point in my life where, you know, the sons of a lot of my friends in Canada are starting to slowly get around the age where they could get drafted and everything, and everybody's like, oh, you never know, you never know. Yeah, I couldn't hit either. I was strictly a pitcher. I wasn't that good. I played a little bit of third base, but I wasn't great there by any stretch of the imagination. All right, Joe Oliver leading inning number 3 for the Marlins, 1-0. And that's a base hit to right, opposite field single for Joe Oliver. Marlins get a runner on base here to start inning number 3 with Brooks Kishnik now the batter. 1-2 to him, struck out swinging. For out number 1, Todd Edwards is next. 1-1. Oh, that's a base hit to center. Right, so Gabe White not having exactly a great start. It's not dramatic just yet, but the hits are starting to pile up. Jason Bates is next. He does have 4 strikeouts in 2 1/3. 1-2 to Jason Bates. Okay, when he can avoid the bats, it's good. Well, I don't know your exact age. I know we're around the same age, but yeah, I would definitely be slower too. And like the weirdest things, yeah, the weirdest things happen. Like I was at work and I prepped a box and I turned to go and put it on the shipping rack, and like I guess my foot didn't follow my leg fully when I turned, and I kind of hurt my heel, and I was like, man, I felt so dumb, and then I could barely walk for 2 days. Getting older is not fun. Look at us talking like our parents and grandparents. Alright, Chris McInnes is now the batter. 2 outs, 2 on. Full count. Struck out swinging. So Gabe White, if he misses the bat, that's great. Otherwise, it looks like they have hits for the most part. Yeah, it was like the stupidest thing. Like, I didn't do anything weird. I just like, you know, grab the box. The box is not super heavy, maybe 20 pounds, you know, nothing too crazy. Grab the box and I turn, and like I guess my foot got stuck or something. I don't know. I was like, oh man. All right, Gabe White leads off inning number 3 for us. Pat Combs still on the mound for the Marlins, 1-1. Grounds it to say, oh, that's going to be an error. All right, so Gabe White is safe at first on a throwing error by the second baseman McInnes. Oh no, it's on Ulyanyan. All right. Yeah, I know that feeling. I know that feeling all too well. Alright, Delino the Shields, runner on first, nobody out. Alright, so that's a good opportunity to put some runs on the board here. 1-1. Oh, the Shields bunts, and that's a sacrifice hit. Advances the runner to second base. So now we have a runner in scoring position with 1 out. Grissom is the batter, no count. Oh, that's it weakly to center. That's a wasted out. Not a productive out here. Gabe White has to stay on second base. There's 2 outs now for Charles Johnson. Come on, buddy. You can tie it with 1 swing. Full count. And that's it pretty well all the way to the fence. So you're not tying it with 1 swing, but at least we're clawing back in. So that's a double for Charles Johnson. Scores Gabe White. It is now 2-1 for the Marlins. Alright, so we reduce the lead in half. No, I didn't decide to bunt. I set all the strategies for the team and for the players, and I just kind of let it play. I basically just do the substitutions. If I see that somebody struggles with something, like Ruben Rivera was trying to steal like crazy all the time, because I have a really speedy team, so I have my sliders pretty high for stealing and everything, but he really struggled with that, so I had to go. I went and I reduced that so that he doesn't individually try to steal as often. But yeah. Alright, so runner in scoring position, 2 outs. Ruben Rivera is next. Speaking of the devil, 2-2. Oh, that's out of here. The Expos take the lead. 2-run blast by Ruben Rivera. I was ready to give up on him, but the last 2 months he's been playing really well. It is now 3-2 for the Expos. Johnny Nutt is next, 2 outs. Bases are empty, obviously. 3-1 to him. And he walks. Shane Andrews, 2 outs, runner on first, 1-0. Oh, Johnny Nutt goes. That's a stolen base. That's his 5th of the season. I'm cheering for Shane Andrews to make the team next year. That's why I'm playing him quite a bit. He's a September call-up. Oh, that's a bad pitch. All right, so Johnny Nutt makes it to third. So all of a sudden we have a runner on third. 2 outs. Full count for Andrews, but he strikes out swinging. His contact is pretty low, and I do that. Yeah, I don't remember that for him either. Kind of curious to see. Ooh, his defense is high. He could have a high defense because he was good at framing the plate, but oh no, he has a pretty decent arm, at least in my universe. I'm not saying that that it necessarily reflects real life at this point. All right, Pat Combs remains in the game. He's leading off the 4th for the Marlins, 2-2, and that's strike 3. Gabe White with 7 strikeouts already. If he keeps it up, that's not his first game like that. If he keeps it up, he might develop into a useful starter. 1-1 to Trammell, and that's a fly ball to right. That's got by Grissom for out number 2. Yeah, I've seen that too. I remember when, I think it was maybe 5 or 6 versions ago, that it was a little while ago, I fired up a historical, kind of like I did with the Expos. I started, I think, in 1992. Didn't start in 1991 with that one. I started in 1992. Start my historical, and Delino DeShields was not good defensively enough to have a rating at second base. I was like, how stupid is that? I mean, granted, Delino DeShields wasn't the best defensive second baseman I've ever seen, but still, he should have been in good enough ratings to have a second base rating there. No, it's not. If you want that, you have to play one of the competitors. What is it, like Stratomatic or something? That's more geared for that. Right, he wasn't completely terrible, but, you know, he wasn't the best second baseman I've seen. He would have some errors and everything. I mean, they all do, but... I don't know. I would say he was maybe slightly average, at least as an Expo. That's how he was. Maybe slightly above average defensively for a second baseman. But yeah, he wasn't a... I wouldn't consider him a star defender. 1-0 to Todd Haney. Grounds it to short. And he's thrown out at first for out number 1. Right, and out of the park to me is more for what ifs. That's more how I see it. Which is why I have no problems with things like Kurt Schilling being a reliever or things like that. Alright, and then Gabe White is now the batter. Yeah, see, we remember him differently. Could be that when he was playing for the Expos, he was a little bit younger, so maybe, you know, experience. Gabe White, 0-1 to him. Oh god, that was a terrible pitch to swing at. I had shades of my past there. Alright, let's see. Gabe White. Right. Yeah. Maybe that's why we kind of have a different recollection. You got him as a more mature player. That would make sense. 1-2 to Ulyan, and he strikes out looking. I like seeing that when it's the opposition that does it. Alright, Joe Oliver is next. 1-2 to him. Struck out swinging as well. Yeah, the Marlins don't have a strong team. Oh yeah, and even with the Expos, he had like ups and downs in his seasons. Rook Skishnik is next, 2 outs, no count to him. That's it, weakly to center, Rivera after it. Catches it for out number 3. Yeah, after the Shields was gone, we had Mike Lansing for a while, and then he said something that he didn't like Montreal or something like that, and then he was traded not too long ago, or not re-signed, I don't know, he wasn't there anymore. And then we had Jose Vidro, who of course was with the Expos until the end. He was a decent hitter, he was okay. He was a decent player. It does look pretty good. I forget who made the... Dang, I hate that, but I forget who made the models. I think they did a pretty good job overall. Alright, the Shields hitting off inning number 5 for us, 3-1. And he walks. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I think he did the... Well, I'm gonna say they, I don't know who it is. I think they did a pretty good job. The stadiums, for the most part, look pretty good to me. But I say it very often. I am not the biggest reference to remember all of the stadiums and everything. It's never something I've paid a whole lot of attention to. Alright, Marquise Grissom with 2 strikes. Oh. Alright, they get the lead runner at first, but they can't get Grissom out at first. They get the lead runner at second, sorry. So now there's 1 out. Runner on first. Charles Johnson is next. No count. Oh, Charles Johnson with a 2-run blast here. I would really like for him to have 100 RBIs. That makes it 95 for him. He can do it. Yeah, that was before my time, so I wouldn't know that. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people speak very fondly of the Park Jaggy time. Right, Ruben Rivera comes to bat, bottom of the 5th, 1 out. It's 5-2. They are bringing in Jody Treadwell as a pinch hitter, as a reliever. Sorry, 2-1. Ooh, that's another good piece of hitting by Rivera. Oh, and it's out of here. I wasn't sure it was gonna have the distance. So solo blast for Ruben Rivera. 2 home runs today. It is now 6-2. So Ruben Rivera can make it to 20 home runs for a rookie season. That's not too shabby. And then, yeah, we have a few milestones that could be had. And Johnson is at 96 RBIs. I forgot that he produced a run earlier. So 4 more, and he has 100. So we definitely have a few players that have interesting seasons, even though overall the team didn't make it. The team didn't make it mostly because of pitching. Yeah, same for me. I've seen, you know, footage and everything. Hey, the sweet G. Sorry, I'm not sure how to say that. They're worse than me. Is it your team? I don't remember. The Marlins right now, I'm near the end of the season. They have like 108 losses or something like that, around that. Okay. Tesuiji, okay. Easy. Yeah, he's at 94. He scored exactly 100 for me last year. 100 even. He had a good year last year. He batted almost 300. 13 home runs, which is pretty good for him. Alright, Johnny Nutt is next. Full count. Oh, that's a walk. Alright, so now with one out, we have a runner on first. Shane Andrews is next, 2-2. That's a base hit. Opposite field base hit for Shane Andrews. Yeah, that was close to his face, wasn't it? Alright, Todd Haney is next. 1-1. Oh, not hit with a whole lot of power, but it does score a run. It is now 7-2 for the Expos, bottom of the fifth. Still, there's 2 outs now. They got Haney out at first. Runner goes to second base on the play. Ray Sanchez is next. 2 outs. Runner in scoring position. No count. They're gonna walk him to face the pitcher. Gabe White is next. 2 on, 2 outs, 2-2. Struck out swinging. I'm keeping Gabe White in. He's kind of settled. He has a lot of strikeouts too. I like that. I think he's good for at least another inning. Oh, are you trying to start the song Valérie Valdera, Les Expos sont là? Les Expos sont là. Man, it's been a long time. There was a beer commercial that had like in Quebec that had like that super catchy song for the Expos. That was back at the start of the 90s. Todd Edwards is batting first for the Marlins in inning number 6, 3-0 to him. And he walks on 4 pitches. Alright, Jason Bates, runner on first, nobody out. No count. Oh, that's a bad pitch. That would be spelled like this. That's how it would be spelled. But yeah, you got the like on earring, you got it right. I don't think I have. I might have, but I can't say that I know specifically if I did see that that song or heard it. 1-2. If it's like a montage or I mean, I'm familiar with Nos Amours song, but I don't know if you mean like the original one or if you're talking about somebody that kind of covered it or something like that. Okay. I will. Alright, runner on third, 1 out. Chris McInnes is now the batter. No count. Alright, Johnny Nutt after it, catches it for out number 2. Runner goes home, and he's safe. That's 7-3 now. Yeah, I think that's going to be the last inning for Gabe White unless things start to unravel further. Milt Thompson, which I do remember, comes to bat with 2 outs. He's a pinch hitter. No, he came in as a double switch. Sorry, he's playing center field now. 1-2. Grounds it to second, and he's thrown out for out number 3. Oh yeah, there was always like a love affair for the Expos, especially in the early days. In the end, it didn't look like that because the stands were always empty. But you know, you can only sell the team, not sell, but you can always like empty the team so often before the fans get sick of it. Alright, so Jody Treadwell remains in the game for the Marlins. Delino De Shields is the first one to face him in inning number 6. We are up 4 here at Olympic Stadium. 2-2 to De Shields, strikes out swinging. Yeah, we didn't get it easy, and now now there's talks about splitting the Rays time with Montreal and things like that. But you know, is it last week that the Rays made like kind of an announcement regarding that, and then the group in Montreal that's responsible for trying to bring the Expos back didn't say anything. They went radio silent on that, and then the Rays kind of pulled back. I think that happened last week. All right, Marquise Grissom is next, 1-1. Oh, that's it. I think it's gonna get cut too, but there was a little bit of pop there, and it's cut by Edwards and left for out number 2. Charles Johnson is next, 2-2 to him. Oh, that's out of here. Charles Johnson with another RBI. That's 4 RBIs for him today. Yep, I think so too. I think Montreal is ready. I think they are. But, and that's only my opinion. Okay, and it's worth what it's worth. If you bring the Expos back, as much as I prefer the National League because I don't like the DH, it would make a lot more sense to put the Expos in the AL East and keep them there. You know, if it's just the Rays moving, it makes sense. You don't have to realign anything. It makes more sense. I remember fondly the days with, you know, against the Braves and everything, but it makes a lot more sense to have the Expos Expos in the AL East, because Toronto's a natural rival from hockey. Boston is as well, and then, you know, you have the Yankees in there, so it would make a lot more sense. Yep. I agree with both of you guys. Like I said, I prefer the National League, but it would make more sense like for rivalries and everything. Even though the AL East is probably one of the toughest division every year, probably would make more sense to have them there personally. But and the group that's responsible for trying to bring the Expos back they're very quiet lately, so I think they're doing things like that they can't really talk about, like for legal reasons probably. Yeah, but it wouldn't be the same. I think it would be harder to build a rivalry with teams like the Phillies and the Nationals. Maybe with the Nationals a little bit because it was the former team that moved there, so maybe there would be a little bit of kind of, you know, fan resentment to that. But and that's a stolen base there for Rivera. So 2 outs, runner in scoring position for Johnny Nutt, and Clyde Keller is now the reliever for the Marlins. I don't know. Yeah, Rivera is. I don't know. I'm sticking to my gun on that one. You make good points, and I mean I don't think there would be zero rivalries and everything, but you know, Canadians Bruins and Canadians Maple Leafs is such a huge rivalry that, you know, trying to recreate it in baseball to me would make a lot of sense. And you know, maybe they would move there and it, you know, it wouldn't lift or something like that. That's always possible. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and pull Rivera. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring in John Doris. Not Rivera, Gabe White. I'm gonna bring in John Doris, and we're gonna go ahead and see if he can continue to pitch well. He's done good lately. Yeah, I would love for Rivera to develop like to his full potential in the game as opposed to what he did in real life. I am too, man. I am used to see them as a National League team. That's it to center. Oh, that's cut by Rivera for out number one. Mike Bordick is next. No count to him. Oh, that's a base hit to right. So opposite field, single from Mike Bordick. Marlins get a runner on in inning number 7. We're up 5. Ulian Yan comes to bat next, 1 and 2. Struck out looking. Yeah, he's had quite his share. He had a few home runs, but he also had his share of strikeouts in that 4-game series. Joe Oliver is next with 2 outs now. Full count. That's a base hit to left, and it's going all the way into the corner. Johnny Nutt goes after it. And it's going to score a run. It is now 8-4 for the Expos on the double by Al Oliver. All right, Sean Berry comes in as a pinch hitter. 1-0. That's going to be an infield single. All right, so that's 2 runners on, 2 outs. Todd Edwards is the batter now. Doris is starting to go back to his bad habits here. 2 and 2. That's it all, and that's over Rivera's head for extra bases. I've seen enough. That's gonna be a triple that scores a couple runs. It is now 8-6. It's time to pull John Doris. The John Doris redemption is now over. Alright. I'm gonna bring in Jeff Robinson to try to get the last out. I'm gonna go to the veteran. Yeah, maybe you have a point there. Everybody hates the Canadians, and oh boy, that's gonna be extra bases. Everybody hates the Canadians, and their fans are not helping it by, you know, thinking that they made it to the finals last year because they were so good, which, you know, they rode a really good goaltender and some clutch scoring, but they had no business being there. Chris McInnes is next. 8-7 now. The Marlins are clawing back, and that's a strikeout. So we get out of this, but the Marlins got 4 runs back on the board. We're only up 1 anymore. It is 8-7. But you know what? If the Expos come back, I'll say this: I don't care where they are in which division they are. I think I'm just gonna be happy to have them back. Alright, so Toronto denies them, so I'm guessing you are if you follow hockey at all, I'm guessing you are a Leafs fan in all likelihood. Are you also a Blue Jays fan? I do like the Blue Jays. They came so close this year, so close. Shane Andrews, 0-2 to him. Yeah, I think if you were to talk to my friends in Canada, like assuming that they could speak English better than they actually do, I think you would find them to be pretty level-headed Abs fans for the most part. They're pretty good. Oh yeah, so all right, so I know I've said it on stream a few times, but so where I work, no, where I used to work, sorry, or where I live is what I'm trying to say. Um, my my super at my previous job, my supervisor's sister was friends with Joe Carter, and when the Jays won the World Series, on the Joe Carter home run, and all of that stuff, he sent her a giant poster of himself that he signed and everything. So she had that. I don't really follow Japanese baseball. That's something that I would like to watch more of. That's something that interests me. I just don't watch it. 1-2 to Todd Aney. That's it to right, and that's cut by Booba Trammell for out number 2. Hey, thanks for following me, by the way. Welcome aboard. All right, Ray Sanchez is next, 2 outs, 2-2. Grounds it to short. Yes, they did. All right, lefty, righty, righty. All right, Dea is tired. I think I'm gonna go ahead and, oh God. I'm gonna go to Jeff Facero. Hopefully he can shake off that snowflake next to his name. Yeah, I know. My pitching has been terrible all year. That's why I don't have a winning record. My offense has been pretty decent for the most part. I mean, I have a couple September call-ups in my lineup right now, but Ivan Calderon had a MVP season. And Charles Johnson's been good. Rivera's been okay, but yeah, the pitching was not there. Alright, Rondell White, first one to face Jeff Fesser. So Rondell White comes in as a pinch hitter. Alright, 1-2. We're gonna try. Former teammates in real life. Struck out swinging, yes. Booba Trammell is next, 2-2. Oh, that's gonna fall in for a base hit. Alright, so runner on first, 1 out. Mike Bordick is next, 1-0. Grounds it to second, to short, and that's a double play. Jeff Facero gets the job done. We're going into the bottom of the 8th, still up 1. It's a tight affair here. Alright, I didn't do a double switch this time, and I am gonna bring in... Oh. I think I'm gonna bring in Woody Green. Let's see if we can get a 1 run with 1 swing of the bat. Full count to him. And he walks. Hey, have fun with your, take care, and have good luck with your stream, or have fun with it at the very least. I just saw that you're getting drops for PT for it. All right, Delino the Shields with a runner on first, nobody out, 1-1. Oh, that's a bunt here. All right, so sacrifice for the Shields. Yeah, he's done that a couple times. Runner on second base. 1 out. Grissom, the batter, 1-2. Oh, struck out swinging. Charles Johnson is next. Full count to him. And he walks. That's one heck of a game for Charles Johnson. Right, Ruben Rivera is next. 2 on, 2 outs. Maybe we're going to see his 20th home run. 0-2. Nope. Rounds it to first, and he's thrown out for out number 3. All right, it's gonna be Scott Ruskin time again. I know he's tired a little, but he's by far my best reliever. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's not very good at sacrifice bunting. He's pretty good at bunt for it, but he's not very good at sacrifice bunt. Alright, so Ruskin facing Ulyanyan first, top of the 9th. We're still up 1, 2-2 to him. Oh, that's a little pop fly. The shield's under it, catches it for out number 1. Joe Oliver is next. 0-1. Flies it to right. I agree, although he had a down season this season. Hitting 266. And that rose at one point. He was in the 230s, so he's been doing a little bit better lately. Alright, Alvaro Espinoza comes in as a pinch hitter. 2 outs, nobody on. 1-2. Grounds it to short, and he's thrown out at first for out number 3. So the Marlins came close to tie the game, but we prevailed. For a rare time, our relief didn't completely implode. It imploded a little bit, but not all the way through. And we won this 8-7. It was a 4-game sweep. I split it into 2 streams. But yeah, 4-game sweep. And the Marlins have 107 losses. I know he's gone to prepare his stream, but... And then the last series of the season is going to be against the Braves, the eternal rivals of the Expos. Dwight Gooden pitched a 2-0 shutout before the playoffs. Yeah, they are. The Phillies are not good in my universe. Almost kind of the reverse of what it was in real life. The Mets were struggling in that time frame, if I remember it correctly, but they really got some good teams put together here in my universe. And of course, Dwight Gooden has stayed off trouble. So he's been so dominant since... Oof. Yeah, they were with Mitch Williams. He's still with the Phillies, but a lot of those guys are not there. Like John Kruk, I think, is with Oakland now, or Cleveland. Darren Dalton got dealt to the Padres, and then now he's playing for Cleveland. So John Kruk is not there. I don't think they play on the same team. All right, so the California Angels clinched the AL West. So Texas is out of the playoff picture. All right, we can take a quick look at the standings. So the AL Central is not clinched. Neither is the National League Central. So both Central divisions are not decided yet. So there's implications for the wild card as well. Just like in real life this year, the Blue Jays are in the running for it. Yeah, that's not a really strong record for a playoff team. Although, you know, there's still like 3 games to play, so I guess they might make it to 90 wins, but definitely not the strongest record for a playoff team. Oh, they have both Jim and Kyle Abbott. Oh yeah, they have Ruben Sierra. They have Jose Vidro. We talked about him. Yeah, I think there's more parity in the American League than there is in the National League, at least for this year. But keep in mind, you know, the National League just 2 seasons ago just got 2 expansion teams. So that's gonna play in. It's gonna boost some records for, you know, some weaker teams, I guess. Yeah, the Marlins are the worst team. The Rockies are better than the Phillies. Yeah, the Phillies have just not been able to pull it off. They really don't have a that great of a lineup. Although they do have Al Martin that's starting to put things together, but yeah, it's not. But anyway, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and save the game. I'm gonna let you go to bed, and I'm going to go and have lunch before I continue on with my day. So as usual, I want to thank you. Hey, that it was nice having you back. It's been a while, so always welcome here. Yeah, it was good chatting with you as well. You have a good one, and we keep in touch. Next month is coming pretty quickly, and for everybody else, thank you for tuning in as usual. And if you're watching this on YouTube and you like the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.